So I'm going to share a story that I have shared many times here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, especially when I get invited to speak at churches. But I think it's just such a beautiful testimony as to really, as a follower of Christ who loves Jesus so much, how do we step out of our comfort zone when it could be really easy to be offended by people? And so there was a house in my neighborhood that around Halloween had extremely terrifying decor. Normally you might see, if a house is decorated for Halloween, there might be like a pumpkin or there might be like a ghost. But this particular house had an upside down cross. It had 666. It had the satanic symbol in the front yard. It had mannequins that were like having a human sacrifice with this fake mannequin. There was like blood everywhere. It was like pretty terrifying. But there was something in me. I'm just such a strange person that I'm like, I must hear your story. And when I see something like that, I don't really get offended. I'm just very curious, and I like must investigate. Why is there this human sacrifice on your front yard? And so, one day I saw my neighbor a few blocks down the road, who I didn't know yet, adding more terrifying decor to his front yard. And I went up to him. I was like, "Sir," with a smile on my face, "tell me about all your decor." And before I did that, I really thought through, like, man, I feel like there's a couple options represented here. Like, the first option could be I could get really angry at them and maybe do something like protest or like pick at their house or like throw eggs. I wouldn't throw eggs. Another could be I could just be really offended and never say anything and just forever think that my neighbors were like horrible people. Or I could simply just be inquisitive and ask a question and engage the person in front of me. And so that's exactly what I did. And it turns out that during that day, when I asked my neighbor about his decor, it ended with him in my arms and me praying for him about some just hard health issues him and his partner were facing. And what I love about what's happened from that is, a month later, I went back and I had a box of cinnamon buns and I dropped it by their house. And my neighbors told me, Beth, one of the reasons why we did that is we wanted to see how many conservative church people would get angry at us. Like, how many people could we really just make angry and see how would the church react to this? And I was like, you were expecting a negative response, but you didn't get one, did you? Because here I am, and I love Jesus. And I wasn't that offended. I was just more curious about what was going on. And what has happened from that is it didn't just stop there. Like, my husband and I consider them such beautiful and dear neighbor friends. That's what we call them, as our neighbor friends. And we had them over for dinner, and we're learning so much from them as they're learning so much from us. But it's this beautiful picture of like what could have been terrifying is now there's some of our dear great friends that we just get to journey alongside life with. And oftentimes they don't identify as Christians, but they'll come into our home and they'll just share really hard things that are going on, and we'll be able to pray for them and just uplift them in prayer. And I would just love to see so many more people in the church just begin to even more step out of their comfort zones. And when offense captures our heart, how can we turn that actually into like loving action to get to know the people behind and the stories behind the people that we seem to get offended at?